The distress call came through the deep space relay like a trembling whisper through a storm. It was weak, cracked by radiation and distance, but unmistakable in tone. Someone far away was begging for help. The message repeated only one phrase before fading into static. "They are coming. We can't stop them. Anyone who hears this, help us." For weeks the Galactic Council ignored it. Too far, too risky, not their concern. The transmission originated from a frontier system outside official jurisdiction. Merchant guilds calculated the losses of potential rescue fleets and decided against action. The council debated, argued, and adjourned their sessions while the screams of that faint broadcast continued to echo across the stars. Only one civilization answered: Earth. Humanity had not always been considered a major power. For centuries after joining the galactic community, humans kept to themselves. They built colonies quietly, sent explorers beyond mapped borders, and watched as the greater empires of the galaxy struggled for dominance. Yet behind that calm exterior, humanity learned, adapted, and prepared. When the message reached the United Earth Defense Command, no committee was needed. The council chambers on Earth fell silent for only 10 seconds before the order was given. Task Force Orion was activated. The ships departed the lunar gate before dawn. There were 12 of them, sleek angular vessels painted a dull obsidian that reflected no starlight. Each bore the emblem of the Earth flag etched into its hull. Within their armor sat men and women trained for the kind of missions that history books could not describe without trembling. They were called the Vanguard. The journey through slipspace took 6 days. On the 7th, they emerged at the edge of the dying system. The planet below glowed faintly red, its atmosphere burning away under orbital bombardment. Around it drifted the shattered remains of a once great defense fleet. The attackers were still there, an armada of insectoid warships shaped like blades and teeth, feeding on the debris of conquered worlds. The moment humanity arrived, the invaders shifted formation. Their scanners detected the newcomers, but they did not recognize the configuration. To them, the black hulls of the human ships seemed like shadows come alive. They scanned again. No energy signatures matched known databases. No species identification, just silence. Commander Hale stood on the bridge of the lead battleship Resolute. His eyes traced the tactical display, calm and unwavering. Around him, the crew moved like synchronized parts of a vast machine. "Transmit wideband signal," he ordered. "To all remaining survivors on the surface, this is Task Force Orion. Hold your position. Help is on the way." The transmission cut through the static and reached the planet's battered command center. Inside a collapsing bunker, alien soldiers looked up as a voice echoed through their comms. None of them had ever heard the human tongue before, but the tone carried such certainty that they understood the meaning instinctively. Hope. Moments later, the human fleet opened fire. The first salvo tore through the enemy formation with surgical precision. Beams of dark energy lanced across space, invisible to most sensors until they struck. Whole cruisers disintegrated without time for distress calls. Others spun apart as their reactors imploded. The humans moved with eerie coordination. No waste, no hesitation, no mercy. The alien armada responded in chaos. Thousands of smaller ships swarmed forward, spitting plasma like furious insects. Yet each time they closed the distance, they vanished under a curtain of kinetic fire. The humans had refined warfare into a language of silence and precision. Within an hour, the battle was over. The skies cleared. The invading flagship, an immense vessel shaped like a crescent blade, tried to retreat into hyperspace. Before it could escape, the Resolute locked on. One railgun round, heavier than a building, crossed the void and tore straight through the ship's spine. The resulting explosion illuminated the entire system like a newborn sun. Commander Hale gave a single nod. "Target neutralized. Begin surface descent." The survivors on the planet watched in awe as black warships pierced the clouds. They descended not as conquerors but as guardians. Drop pods burst open, releasing human soldiers clad in dark armor. Their movements were disciplined, their silence heavier than any battle cry. When the survivors first saw them, they did not know whether to fear or worship. Humanity looked small compared to the towering aliens. Yet their presence radiated an aura that silenced the ruined battlefield. One of the survivors, a wounded captain of the local defense, stepped forward trembling. Who are you?" Hale removed his helmet. His face was calm, his voice quiet but firm. "We heard your call." No further explanation was needed. The next days were spent restoring what could be saved. Human medics worked side by side with alien physicians, sharing supplies and expertise. Engineers erected shield generators over the remaining settlements. Children who had not smiled in weeks laughed again as they watched the humans rebuild their city block by block. The galaxy soon learned what had happened. News channels across 100 systems repeated the same astonished headline: "Unknown human fleet destroys invasion force in one day." Governments demanded reports. The Galactic Council convened emergency meetings to analyze the event. None of them had predicted such capability from a world they had long considered minor. In the council hall orbiting the central world of Nerion, delegates from every major power gathered. Holographic displays projected footage from the battle, recorded by drones. The destruction was beyond belief. Entire fleets erased with surgical precision. No collateral civilian damage, no communication, just swift judgment. Some delegates whispered in awe. Others trembled in fear. The chairman of the council asked the inevitable question: why would Earth respond to a distress call from a system outside its alliance network? The answer came not from diplomats, but from a transmission recorded later that week. It was Commander Hale himself, addressing the survivors before departure. "We did not come for territory or tribute. We came because someone asked for help. That is enough." Those words echoed across the galactic networks. Millions replayed them, analyzing their tone, debating their sincerity. But to those who had witnessed the rescue, there was no doubt. Humanity had acted not for power, but for principle. Yet beneath that noble act, a quiet warning spread among the empires. If such a force could appear without notice and end a war in hours, what else was hidden behind Earth's silence? Scholars began to review old records. They noticed patterns. The way human fleets always trained near the uncharted regions, how their technology advanced faster than expected, how their losses in prior conflicts were mysteriously low. A theory began to form, whispered only in private. Humanity was not unprepared. Humanity was waiting. Back on Earth, the return of Task Force Orion was met with no parades, no public celebration. The Vanguard were not heroes seeking recognition. They were guardians performing their duty. The world continued as before. Cities thrived, students studied, and life moved forward as though nothing monumental had occurred. But deep within the Defense Command archives, new data was being processed. The enemy fleet's technology had been analyzed, and their origins traced to a region still unexplored. Humanity's scientists already prepared their next expedition. Meanwhile, among the rescued species, monuments were raised in gratitude. They sent envoys to Earth bearing gifts and pledges of friendship. Yet when they arrived, they found no grand palace or imperial ruler, just quiet people living under blue skies, building, dreaming, and preparing for whatever would come next. In time, the Galactic Council tried to formalize a treaty of cooperation with humanity. During the first session, an elder diplomat from the rescued world addressed the assembly. He looked upon the gathered species and said, "When our cries echoed into the void, none of you answered. Only Earth did. Remember that the next time someone calls for help." The hall fell silent. No one could respond. Years passed. The legend of the Vanguard spread. Songs, stories, and even holovids were created about the day Earth's warriors came through the void. Children in distant systems played with toy ships painted black, pretending to save the weak from the strong. The phrase "send the humans" became a common expression in the outer colonies whenever danger loomed. But humanity remained quiet. Their fleets patrolled unseen, their presence felt but rarely witnessed. They did not seek leadership of the galaxy, nor did they impose laws. They simply watched, guarding the fragile peace their intervention had restored. One evening in a small observatory on Mars, Commander Hale stood before a viewing window. The red sands stretched endlessly beneath the stars. His second-in-command approached carrying a datapad. "New signals detected," she said softly. "Outer sectors again. Distress patterns similar to before." Hale did not turn. He watched the constellations with calm eyes. "Then we prepare," he replied. The officer nodded and left to relay the order. Moments later, alarms began to hum quietly through the command decks. Engines roared to life. Across the solar system, ships awakened from silent orbit. their dark hulls reflecting the glow of distant suns. Somewhere beyond known space, another world was calling for help. As the fleet assembled once more, the citizens of Earth looked up at the sky and saw faint streaks of light crossing the heavens. Few knew what those ships were truly capable of, but everyone felt the same quiet pride. Humani,